Who'd ever thought that two small sculptured figures made of plastic would change the world? Who'd thought that these small figures were the objects of self-esteem, both low and high, and possibly skewed self-worth? Who'd thought that these two small toys would open the mind and bring to the forefront the problems in society, as well as the change in laws? Yes, who'd thought? But after further investigation, was it even actually what we originally thought? In the 1940s, husband and wife, doctors Kenneth and Mamie Clark, conducted the famous doll test. This experiment played a pivotal role in the landmark Supreme Court case Brown versus Board of Education. This study revealed the devastating effects of segregation on Black American children's self-esteem, or did it? The Clarks asked Black American children a series of questions about two dolls, one black and one white. The results were pretty shocking. Many children preferred the white dolls and attributed positive characteristics to them while associating negative traits with the black dolls. While answering the series of questions, a lot of the children became sad, cried, and some even flew into inconsolable tantrums when realizing that the black doll was attributed to them. This all was seen as evidence of internalized racism and the psychological damage caused by segregation. But what if there's more to the story? Enter Harvard professor Robin Bernstein. Bernstein offers a fresh perspective, suggesting that the children's responses might not have reflected self-hatred at all, but rather cultural influences and media portrayals of the time. Bernstein's argument is that black dolls, which represented black people, were often depicted negatively in popular culture. They were oftentimes involved in scenes of violence, servitude, and being seen as dumb imbeciles, while white dolls, i.e. white people, were shown in a positive light. Bernstein believes these portrayals could have significantly influenced the children's choices in the study. She also says that the order of the questions could have caused the children to give skewed answers. Here are the questions that were asked in the original 1940s experiment. Take a look at the order. Give me the doll you want to play with. Give me the doll that is a nice doll. Give me the doll that looks bad. Give me the doll that is a nice color. Give me the doll that looks like a white child. Give me the doll that looks like a colored child. Give me the doll that looks like a Negro child. Give me the doll that looks like you. Bernstein points out that the way these questions were framed and the societal context at the time could have led the children to respond based on cultural associations rather than self-perception, meaning they didn't necessarily have self-hatred issues, but were adhering to what society sees as the roles for Black people. In contrast, 40 years after the original test, there was another version of the doll test study conducted by Walter C. Farrell, Jr., and James L. Olson. They recruited 151 5-year-old students from both racially segregated and non-segregated schools. Instead of using brown and white dolls, they used 8 photograph cutouts of dark-skinned black, light-skinned black, dark-skinned white, and light-skinned white females and males. They asked different sets of questions to that of Clark's in the original study, and it was revamped with questions in a different order. The responses show a little more positive results. Let's see the difference in order and response. The boys and girls were asked to identify the following about the doll. Which one is most like you? Which one other children like best? Which one does the teacher like best? Show me the one who likes school. Which one other children don't like? Which one does the teacher not like? Who doesn't like school? Farrell and Olson's questions were more nuanced. Instead of asking the students to self-identify last, they placed the identification question first. That ordering likely matters. The 3 questions that followed, questions 2-4, were meant to gauge the children's positive preference towards the doll, while the last 3 questions, questions 5, 7, their negative preference. Look closely at how these questions were framed. Instead of asking the questions which ones they think looks nice or looks bad, as in the Clark study, Farrell and Olson wanted the children to answer on behalf of someone else's preference. Also, the choice for white dolls made up for 47% of the responses, compared to the previous 65% in Clark's study. When it comes to negative preference, that is, those who think that the colored doll looks bad, or in this case, the doll that other children don't like, Clark's study reported a lofty proportion of 77% negative responses, while Farrell-Olson only discovered 36%. Farrell-Olson's subjects also had a more balanced frequency of choosing the black figure. At the end of the study, the results were compared to that of Clark's. As previously found, these children did not have any issues identifying the doll that is most like them. What was different, their findings showed a decrease in racial bias and a less pronounced negative perception of dark-skinned figures. This suggests that the way questions are framed and the context in which they're asked can significantly influence the results. Clark's study also showed that his original assessment, that segregation was the reason for the psychological damage in black children, was perhaps wrong. What the original Clark doll test results showed was that students who attended integrated schools were the 71% picking the white doll, which contradicts the original thought that segregation was the reason for this. But ultimately, Clark's study proved to be a victory for cementing the decision for the Brown versus Board of Education case. And it seems it may have been done from skewed biases. Other scholars noticed this too. After Clark's original study, his method and conclusions were challenged as incomplete and biased by other scholars. The scholars now argue that Clark and other racial liberals of the time became solely committed to the idea of racial psychological damage in order to secure the Brown victory. Bernstein's, Farrell, and Olson's reinterpretations of the Clark doll test invite us to look deeper into how societal messages and research methodologies influence young minds. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of diverse and positive representations in media and thoughtful, unbiased research practices, and it emphasizes the importance of how research is conducted and the potential biases that can come into play. So, what do you think about these new perspectives on the legendary doll test? Let me know in the comments below.